Hello, welcome to Life of a Warrior, episode 14. Today I will talk about the 3 core components to any training regime. You should always focus on gaining strength, flexibility and stamina. Because when you learn to combine those 3 elements, that's when you truly become a real warrior. So just focus on developing in those 3 areas in many ways as possible, so you keep your workout interesting. You want to be dynamic at the same time, so that helps you. When you have the strength, having the flexibility will show through that. So just make everything applicable, combine everything, and remember to keep on training. Thanks for watching, keep on subscribing.
So today, I'll be wearing my weighted vest as normal, and I'll be getting the day off started with some strength training. As always, I'll be working my core, as this makes up an integral part of a lot of the movements and functional kind of things that I do in my training. It's always good to have a strong core. Triceps, that makes your arms big. Primary muscle to work if you want your arms to be looking big and strong. When I mean big, I don't mean in terms of size, I mean in terms of power. So over here you see me just simply working both parts of the core, and then straight from there going into working the back through chin-ups. At the same time working my core by extending my legs, and my grip strength is greatly enhanced too by using those sloper grips. And then I'm moving into doing a muscle up. I'm trying to keep it slow and static as possible, so I can control the movement. As you're wearing a vest, it's more difficult than you think. And then I'll be doing a whole load of boxing to get the day started, to really just warm my arms up and really just work on my movement. If I start doing kicks now too early into my workout, I'll just overexhaust myself, which is why recently I started to do my boxing in the earlier part of the day. Using dumbbells, weighing about 5 kilos each. That's a good way to add resistance to your exercise along with the weighted vest. So that when you take, after you finish doing a round with that, you'll greatly increase your ability to carry out the functional movements that you were training for beforehand. Using the 35 kilogram dumbbells, as the vest limits my shoulder flexibility, it's difficult to lift them over my head, but it doesn't stop me from holding on to them as long as I possibly can. I'm working my back, my legs, doing massive compound movements, as they're the most efficient and they target the most part of your body, and in doing so you're more able to translate your skills onto the martial arts that you might want to implement after, or sport or activity, whatever you find interesting. Using a sandbag is another good idea. 20 kilograms ain't that much, represents about a third of my body weight, along with the vest, so that's 40 keys, but it's nice, it's comfortable, something that you could build towards. Use your hips a lot when you kick, so wearing a lot of weight will make it harder for you to generate a lot of force from your hip. That's why it's important to have good core strength. Using the washing line here is a great asset to have to really measure my distance of my kicks, and use it as a good zoning type thing, and save space. I work in tight areas, working in a different plane of motion. So I'm working my side kicks, spinning back kicks, roundhouse kicks, push kicks, knees. As you can see, I'm just trying to mix it up as much as possible to keep myself warm, and just trying to make combos up and improvise while I do it. Holding on to 25 kilogram dumbbells will greatly improve your balance when you're trying to kick. Also, it will engage your core a lot more as well. As you can see here, now that I've taken the weighted vest off, 20 kilograms lighter after all those hours of training, it has made a massive impact on my training. My technique's not perfect yet because I've just taken my vest off, so my hips are a lot more free, which makes it more prone to me carrying out mistakes initially until I get used to the movement. This exercise here is a great exercise to generate a lot of stamina. Now I'm using the line. Again, similar kind of moves as I was practicing with the weighted vest, except now that it's off, everything becomes a lot more free flowing and easier. Kind of doing that move again, the jumping hamstring move, very good. Now I'm going on to working the core through an interesting strength type exercise. So this works both sides of the core. this particular area here is the front part of the core. As it's elevated, it's targeted a lot more than you think. And then the other way up that you saw me initially, that works the lower back area of the core. When used together, they're both equally as important. So although the six-pack might be more visually appealing to you, you've got to remember to work the other side, the lower back as well, to really have a strong core. Over here I'm transferring to doing chin-ups and then muscle-ups using the variety of grips. Plus I always tend to extend my legs when doing any kind of movement on the apparatus, so it fully uses my core. And I always try and keep it as static as possible so I can target as many muscle groups as possible, and so that I'm fully maximizing my strength. Then I isolate my fingers as well on the chin up bar. So here you see me performing a chin up in my middle fingers. I go through each finger, I really just try and work through them to build strength all over. I'm doing boxing again, as boxing is, to be good with your hands is a lot more important to be good with your feet. So it's always good to work your boxing, which is a lot easier to work than kicks because it takes less energy. It's still fun. Now that I've taken my training inside for round 3 of the day, I'm working my core again. Now this is a great exercise to really just get back into the training mindset, because it activates your core as well as activating the key muscles in your upper body. Also, your hamstrings are worked a lot as well without you noticing, because it requires you to be flexible to have your legs straight in the L position. You can still work your kicks if you're inside the house. You just got to be more wary of your footwork, which is a good thing because then it means you're more dedicated to having control. So over here you see me doing the same kind of moves that I was doing outside: side kick, spinning back kick, push kick, and then a jumping kick. It's all fun stuff. Now going outside for my penultimate round. You see me lifting the 35 kilogram dumbbells over my head. That's the most weight I've ever lifted, so I'll consider that something to aspire towards every training session that I have. I was able to do 1 rep, but I'll aim to do more next time. Since I carried out the main frame of the work, I like to hold on to the dumbbells as long as possible, so that I could really utilize the amount of time and effort that I'm expressing. So now that I've stopped using the dumbbells, it's giving me a lot more control and movement with my technique. This is a great move, really warms you up very quickly. When I'm doing a jumping side kick, so in addition, that's another great move to have, and it also looks a bit more fancy. I don't really do fancy stuff, but it's not as efficient. It's more important to be able to do the simple things, to be able to do them very well, and learn how to implement your strength and coordination into those moves. Over here you see me whacking in tight spaces, and I'm whacking the same kicks. Having control makes up a key part of my training regimen, as you could accomplish more while moving less. So it's more productive and it's more efficient, and it ensures that you're less prone to injury because your joints are taking less impact. So that's another benefit of having control. Now I'll be ending off the day now with some strength training. So I like to transition between doing that swinging core motion to doing a handstand. Obviously it requires a lot more strength, so it's important for me to be able to express the control. And then from there I'm moving towards doing a chin up and then a muscle up in static motion, trying to keep it as controlled and as methodical as possible. Because in theory, the more control that you express on the apparatus, the more control that you could express when you're expressing your functional movements in your training. As I am on the apparatus, as you can see, I try to really utilize the time to the maximum. So I try to stay on and cling on as long as possible, so I'm fully exhausting all the muscles. If you're afraid of heights, you could also go lower to the ground. You can still work your core. You can still work your back as well, as you're holding on to those, as you're elevated from the surface. And you need to pull yourself in. Now I'll be ending off the day with some simple stretching. This particular stretch here, the handstand stretch. It's good to really relieve a lot of pain in your back, all the way down to your gluteus. And over here I'm working the crab, where it relieves tension all over the body. A great move to really relieve a lot of tension. And additionally with the shoulder stand here, It's a great way to relieve a lot of stress in your trapezius, where a lot of tension builds up when you're doing strength training, especially working your shoulders of any sort. Hamstring stretch I'm very familiar with, I'm sure. And I'll be ending off the day now with some pull-ups on the door frame. And I'll be trying to really just stretch my body out as well, to really relieve tension every time, so that when I try and pull up again in the future, I'm completely fresh because I've relieved the tension from before. Rotating all the way around and trying to cling on as much as possible, as long as possible, is always an essential good thing to have because it improves your grip strength. Anyways, thanks for watching, I hope you subscribe, and all the best for your activities.